How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the table. In this video, we are going to do a rematch from our previous stream that we did against the Enchantress and the Trickster Takeover. Unfortunately, last couple of times I played her on that stream, she utterly dismantled Thor with her ability with that enthrall mechanic. Unfortunately, we just lost to the threat because with the Enchantress's mechanic, once that enchantment switches over to being enthralled, anytime a charm counter will go on there, it keeps adding onto her scheme, and eventually we just got some bad luck in the end. So before I jump into doing the rematch against her, and I like to just do a quick rundown on my deck and what I'm using against her. I'm gonna use the same build. I'm not gonna give. I'm still committed to this build. This build is going to focus around the usage of air supremacy. So we're gonna use 3 copies of air supremacy in this. Um, this just works really well with Thor because um, when he gets Mjolnir into play, which is like right in the beginning of the game, pretty much, he already gets the aerial trait. So that's already 3 damage for 2 costs just for him. And since we're gonna be focusing putting aerial allies into play also, that's just gonna expand more targets that we need just in case we get flooded with minions. So this is the theme to my build. So we're running 3 copies of Air Supremacy. We're gonna run 3 copies of Make the Call. Not much to say about this card, just for the fact that it's a great card. Any ally that's in your discard pile, or if you're playing a multiplayer, anyone's discard pile, all you have to do is just pay the cost, and then you can just pull it and put it ready to play. Since Thor likes to find minions, I'm running 2 copies of Squared Off. This is just nice because we can just, if we have a really expensive ally, it's a 0 cost, pull out a minion, put it into play, recost your next ally by 3, and get them out. This is great for targeting any expensive 4 or more cost allies, or potentially maybe free. As far as allies goes, we are going to run Hugin and Munin. This card coming out is just perfect for Thor. It's aerial, it's Asgard, it's a bird. Pretty much put into play, search the top 10 cards, grab a minion, put it engaged with you. Then you can ready 1 character you control for how many boost icons. This can be really nice because if you grab something, if you're planning on playing this card and you already used like Thor and maybe a couple of your allies, and it's got 2 or 3 boost cards. You put this out. One, you're gonna trigger Thor's Have at Thee, where you get engaged with a mini, you get to draw 2 cards, and you'll be able to ready up both Thor and how many characters you have on the table. So this is just auto include, in my opinion, auto include for Thor in any leadership deck. We're gonna run some aerial allies, Cloud9. Mostly we're just trying to get Cloud9 on the table just for aerial ally. So when we run air supremacy, it increases our targets for anything that's on the table. But we don't need to actually use them to attack. We can just exhaust them to increase, any thwart for all of our aerial characters until the end of turn. As you know, Thor doesn't have a real strong thwart stat, so if we need to do some thwarting, we can use this to boost that up. The other coin to that is Arrow, which is basically just like Cloud9, except what Arrow does is when you exhaust Arrow, you get to choose a player, and then at the end of phase, each aerial character that player controls gets a +1 attack. So that's also really nice, especially when Thor already has a 3 attack. Once he gets Mjolnir in his hand, have arrow on the table, exhaust arrow. Now Thor has an attack of 4. I think if you're gonna run aerial characters, you gotta include Adam Warlock. This is just such a great ally. When you do a thwart or attack, you discard 1 card at random from your hand, and then if you get a physical, if it's a physical, you remove 3 threat from a scheme. If it's an energy, you heal 3 from an identity, which is great, so we can actually just heal Thor without having to flip down. Or we use a mental that happens, you just deal 3 damage to an enemy somewhere. And then if you get a wild card, you can just choose one of the above. If you strategically set it up to where you play everything in your hand that you want to play, and then you leave the one resource that you know you want automatically, it's a nice way of just kind of like narrowing down that you're going to get what you want if you wait so you have like 1 card left in your hand, depending on what you're going for. Another aerial ally, we're going to put in Falcon, Sam Wilson, 4 cost, 2 thwart, 2 attack. He has a nice response after he enters play, so this could also be, even if you pull him in from Make the Call, we can look at the top 3 cards of our counter deck. For each treachery that we look this way, we get to remove threat, and we don't have to shuffle the deck, so we can actually use that as some information on the encounter deck, so we have an idea, we know what's coming for us. And then my last leadership card ally I put in, Maria Hill. Why? Because Maria Hill, cheap, put out, get a card draw, and then that's it. And then our last ally we're going to use, Nick Fury. He's just our utility knife. Comes into play, we get to choose either to remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, or deal 4 damage. At the end of the round, if he's still on the table, he gets discarded. So that's our allies for the deck. And then we're going to run a Triskelion so we can increase our ally limit on the table. We'll run 1 team building exercise. This is just going to flow real nicely because of our Asgardian and aerial trait. So it's going to make things a little more cheaper for us. We'll run 1 copy of a helicarrier. Again, reducing the cost is good for Thor, especially at the start of the game when he's got a very low hand size. So this will help, especially if we don't have Asgard on the table. And then we'll use a resource generator for Quinn Carrier. Thor is an Avenger, so we're going to use it. And then I threw in an upgrade here for him since he's going to have the aerial trait anyways. Just another way to give Thor more attack power. So when an aerial character you control uses a basic power, exhaust, soaring, acrobatics, character gets +1 of that power for that use. This also can be used for if he's got to defend and we need to get our defense up. So we can actually boost up our defense from 2 to 3, which is helpful also. And then we run the standard double resources for strength, energy, and genius. And then we'll throw in 2 power leaderships. So as far as that is the build. Let's get these shuffled up. And let's get to the action. See you then. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to get everything set up for the villain. So this will be the visual setup of how we get this going. Also, just to reiterate, there is a new rule now with this. There's a new mechanic called where is it? It's called force. Yeah. So there's a new one. There's a new rule called forced actions. So some attachments have a forced action triggered ability. So a player may perform a forced action at any time during the player phase, like they would normally perform an action. But the player phase cannot end until all possible forced actions among all players have been performed. So if a card with the force action ability is discarded, or a cost cannot otherwise be paid, such as by the card becoming exhausted, when the force action ability's cost includes exhausting this card, then the action cannot be performed, and the players are free to end the player phase as normal. So basically, Enchantress has cards, the enchantments, when they flip over, they're going to have these force actions that we have to do, but we can decide to do them whenever, whenever we want to do them. But for our player phase end, we have to complete that, or we can't on the player phase. All right. So first things first, we'll go ahead and set up the villain's health and everything. So we are just doing this on standard. So Enchantress, as Guardian, Mystic, she has 2 scheme, 1 attack. She has a force response that every time she attacks you, she places 1 charm on the enchantment card in your play area. And before the game starts, these are the 5 enchantments that we that we have to choose randomly. They all say the same thing, and then they all have different things underneath it. Go ahead and add our obligation to the encounter deck, and we'll give this a quick shuffle. All right, so then we'll go ahead and reveal the first 1A of the main scheme. This is called Prime Real Estate. This contents in this here is Enchantress either stage 1 and 2, 2 or 3 if we're playing on expert mode, the standard encounter set, and then we're using the modular set that came with the scenario pack, the Trickster Magic. The setup of this is to set the Future of Despair side scheme aside, which we have already pulled out. So this will be set aside for now. And then we're going to attach a random hypnotic gaze to our identity. We're not allowed to look at the verse side. And then we set the rest of them aside. So go ahead and mix these up a little bit, and we will select the one we're going to keep. Right, and let's take this one. So these will be put set aside along with Future of Despair. And the encounter deck is now shuffled. We can go ahead and flip this over to the next side, which is 1B for Prime Real Estate. Threshold is 6 threat per player, so not a lot to work with. Force interrupt when a charm encounter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area. If your identity has the enthralled trait, place 1 threat on your side. So this was what I was talking about. Once the enchantment flips over, anytime charm encounters go on to the enchantment, it goes to this threat onto the scheme instead. And this will start off for 1 threat per player, and it goes up 1 threat per player. So we'll go ahead and set that up. And then just looking at our permanents, this is here for the whole game. Our identity gains Defiance, and then if there are 5 or more charm counters here, remove each charm counter and then flip the card over. Alright, we now have that all set up, so let's go ahead and get over to the hero side of things and get our mulligans going. Okay, so we're starting here now. We are Thor Odinson. So we start off with our 14 health. We have our action that we'll be able to do and search for our deck and discard power for a Mjolnir upgrade and add it to our hand, and then shuffle our deck. We can only do this once per round. And we have 4 recovery. Oh, and importantly, our hand size is pretty low, so it starts off as a 5. And then we have a hand size of 4 once we go to a hero form. So we got our health points. We have our hypnotic gaze attached to us. Let's do a quick shuffle and let's draw our hand. So we're only going to drop to 5 cards. What we're hoping to do is we are hoping to at least draw into Asgard, so that way we can fix our limited hand size issue. So we're going to draw to a Lightning Strike, Defender of the Nine Realms, Mjolnir, and air supremacy and helicarrier. Alright, so this rig is an automatic mulligan because we'll be able to pull it. This really doesn't help us right now because we don't have any minions to deal with. But we will once if we decide to use Defender of the Nine Realm, which can give us potential card draw. So these actually might be. I'm actually tempted for the helicarrier just so I can reduce cost. Mm, then I'm gonna go with a. I'm gonna go with the heart. I'm just gonna mulligan the whole hand. So one, so arrow, cloud 9, for Asgard, power of leadership, team building. Team building can be helpful. All right, so that's our hand now. So goes over here. First things first, we're going to use our action to bring Mjolnir to our hand. And I think what we'll do, we're going to go for Asgard, power of leadership to get arrow into play. And then kind of wish I had enough to get the team building down, but I don't. So I'm gonna I'll use Cloud 9 to put Mjolnir in the hand. And we will go ahead and go from there. So we'll flip to hero. So now we're Thor. We have a 3 attack now because we have Mjolnir and we have aerial trait. We're going to exhaust Arrow to use her ability to give each aerial character that I control +1. So we'll bump him up to 4, and then we'll go ahead and attack Enchantress for 4, which will take her down to 11. And then we're going to hold on to team building. And we'll ready up. That's all we can do on that part of it. We're going to draw up to our hand size of 4, so we get Falcon, Defenders on the 9 Realms, and a Hammer Throw. Alright, we're now on to the villain phase. One thread goes on to the main. Enchantress is going to attack us. So that's going to be a base of 1 and a boost of 3. So we're going to take 4 damage. And then we'll get our encounter card. And we get a Enthralled Brute, and it has Guard. So Guard means I cannot attack until they are defeated. Alright. Oh, and then forgot an important thing also. Alright. So the Enthralled Brute comes into play as guard. It does have an effect. When this minion is engaged with a player whose identity has the Enthralled trait, the minion gets +3 hit points. We aren't enthralled, we're defiant right now. But because we are now engaged with a minion, we now get to activate our response, which is Have at Thee. So after an engaged minion comes into play, we can draw 2 cards. So we're going to draw into a Power of the Leadership and a God of Thunder, which is nice because that's a resource generator we can use. And this now moves over to player turn. So, player turn. Let's see here. So, we have a Defenders of the Nine Realms. We could potentially use this to give us more card draw. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to use Defender of the Nine Realms to thwart this main down a little bit. So what this does is we discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until we discard a minion, and then we put that minion into play engaged with us, and then we remove 3 threats. The benefits is we get to clear the main for doing this, and we'll be able to draw more cards. So we'll go ahead and do that. So let's discard so we get our minion. It's 1, 2, 3. And there you go. So Absorbing Man comes into play with guard. And then while Absorbing Man is engaged with you, he gets X attack, where X is printed for the highest cost card that you control. So he gets a 1 basically. So we got him on the table now, and then we're going to remove up to 3 threat from the scheme. So that gets cleared. And then we can trigger our Have at Thee and draw 2 more cards. So you're into an energy and square it off. So a lot of options that we have here. Get Falcon out, but there's no threat on there, so there's really no point, I don't think. We could do a Hammer Throw and just one-shot Absorbing Man and then get him on our team. Team building we can put down. I'd say we can do that. So let's use a double resource energy to pay for team building exercise. And then let's use team building exercise to put in the God of Thunder upgrade. So we can actually do that because we share the same trait. It's Asgard and we're Asgard. So it's only going to cost us 1. So we'll go ahead and use Falcon as the resource to get that into play. So now we have a resource generator on the table. Build up some board presence, if you will. Couple of things here. So we gotta clear up some of these minions, I think. So let's do Arrow's ability. We will choose ourselves, and then all characters that are aerial get +1 attack. So this actually should have went down, but he's back up to having 4. We'll go ahead and attack the Enthralled Brute, and that will defeat him since he only has 4 health. And then Absorbing Man's on the table here with 7 health. We're going to go ahead and use God of Thunder as a resource. And then we're going to use Square It Off and Power of Leadership to play Hammer Throw. It will exhaust Mjolnir, and we will do 8 damage to an enemy, and then we return Mjolnir back to our hand. So this goes back to our hand. So 8 damage, and this attack also has overkill, so 1 damage will spill over and hit Enchantress for 1. And then Absorbing Man has been defeated, and he'll get victoried, and he does have a when defeated effect. So the player who defeated this minion puts the set aside Absorbing Man ally into play under their control. So now we've knocked some sense into the Absorbing Man, and now he comes onto our side as our friend. And he has a interrupt also, so he takes double consequential damage, but most importantly, his effect here is an interrupt. When he attacks or thwarts, exhausts an upgrade or support we control, and then Absorbing Man gets plus X to that power for that use, where X is the card's printed cost to a maximum of 3. So ideally what we would want to do is really try and get Asgard on the table, because Asgard you don't need to exhaust to use it, but it still counts in the verbiage of support. We could actually just exhaust that and give him like a 3 attack, a 3 plus 3 boost. So this goes back into our hand. These are now gone. And I'm not going to waste double consequential for 1 attack. I mean, he technically would have 2, but these actually, no, these are exhausted, so he wouldn't have either. Okay, let's ready up. This will go back down to 3, or no, actually he doesn't even have that anymore because he doesn't have Mjolnir. So we'll go to our hand size of 4, so Mjolnir's in our hand. We're gonna make the call, strength, and a genius. That's a lot of resources. Alright, so 1 threat will go on to the main. Oh, actually, I forgot to throw my charm counter on when she attacked me. So actually, there's 1 on there. Alright, so Enchantress is going to attack. We're going to go ahead and let her go through. So she's attacking for 1, and her boost of 1. So she's going to hit me for 2. And that will drop me down to 8. And then her force response will add a charm onto the enchantment, and we will get a encounter card. So we are going to get the Puppet Master side scheme. So if this was an extra mode, the scheme would get +1 to the hinder. So allies cannot thwart this scheme or defend against the villain's attacks. That's kind of rough. That's actually really pretty. We're gonna have to figure out how to get rid of that quick. Alright, so okay, allies can't thwart the scheme, and they can't defend against villain attacks. Fair. What we got here? We can. I think we make a play for Falcon. So we're gonna go ahead and hit make the call, and we're gonna play 4 resources to get Falcon into play. So when Falcon enters play, we can look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, and then for each treachery, we can remove 1 threat from a scheme. So first one's a minion. Second card is an attachment, and the other card is a minion. So that completely failed. And we can't thwart with it. We can use team building to put our Asgardian weapon back into play to give us +1 attack. Well, we're gonna have to chip away at this. So I probably misplayed. What I should have done is I should have brought back Cloud, and then I could have boosted Thor's thwart up to 2, and then I could have got rid of that. So I probably should have done that, but we've already committed to this play, so we're gonna play it out. We're going ahead and thwart 1 off the main, or not off the main, but off of Puppet Master. And then we'll go ahead and use Arrow to give +1 attack to all aerial. So technically Thor will get +1, but we're not going to be attacking with him. And we will go ahead and attack with Falcon for 3. So I'll bring him down to 7. Then Falcon will take 1 consequential damage. And we're ready up. Going up to a hand size of 4. Hammer Throw, Lady Sif, Hugin and Munin. Gonna square it off. Alright, 1 threat goes on. Enchantress is going to attack. We're going to go ahead and defend. So she's attacking for 1 and a boost of 2. So we will take 1 damage. Force response throws a counter onto our enchantment. We're at 3 now. And then we will again be dealt 2 encounter cards. So first encounter card is Love Triangle. Attach to an ally you control, otherwise this card gains Surge. Attached ally cannot attack the villain or defend against the villain's attacks. Alter ego action, exhaust attached ally and spend a mental resource to discard this card. So this actually doesn't really hurt us too much. We'll go ahead and attach this to Arrow because we're not using Arrow for attacks. So we can still keep exhausting Arrow for her ability, and this is really going to do nothing, so we can just ignore that. And then we're going to... And then we reveal a Enthralled Brute. Comes in with Guard. This will trigger our response for Have At Thee, so we'll draw 2 cards. And we got a Thunder and Air Supremacy. Okay, so we're now on to player turn. Let's figure this one out. You could get Lady Sif out. Yeah, let's play Squared Off. We'll discard cards from the encounter deck until we discard a minion, and put that minion into play. Alright, so we're going to get Tatiana. So that will trigger our Have At Thee, so we get to draw 2 cards, and we get Nick Fury, Defenders of the Ninth Realm. And then the next ally we play, we can reduce the cost by 3. I think what we'll do is we'll use a God of Thunder to get Nick Fury into play. And we're allowed to get, we can have 4 on here because Absorbing Man doesn't count towards the ally limit. So we get Nick Fury into play. We're going to use the card draw. 1, 2, 3. Let's do... I think the best way we should do this. we're gonna team build. And then we're gonna use Lightning Strike to get out another God of Thunder. So now we have 2 of these. And we're going to use 1, 2, 3. So use a hammer throw. So again, we're going to exhaust the Reunion, return to our hand, deal 8 damage to Tatiana. So when defeated, the player who defeated this minion puts the set aside Tatiana ally into play under their control. And same deal, doesn't count towards our ally limit. And her attacks gain overkill and piercing. We got ourselves a little army now. And then Munir goes back to my hand. It's fine, because we weren't probably going to attack anyways. Allies can't thwart that side scheme, which we need to get rid of that. I think what we'll do is Nick can thwart 2 off of here. Take 1 consequential damage. Oh, 1 second. Alright, and then we'll see here. I think I may have misplayed. I probably should have played Hugin, but we'll go ahead and we'll use Falcon to do 2 damage to the enthralled brutes, and then we're gonna that's such, yeah, I misplayed that. That sucks. Because I didn't want to deal with another encounter card. I mean, I could still get him out. Let's have Tatiana attack the enthralled brute. So she's attacking with 3. So they had 2 hit points, or, yeah, 2 hit points remaining. So 1 damage is gonna go over for overkill. She'll take 2 consequential damage. That works. So the enthralled brute's gone. And then we'll use Sif. I think we get Lady Sif in. No, she's too expensive. Can't do it. 1. And then didn't really want to throw this away because we have 2 aerial traits out. But actually, maybe we'll just, no, we can still get Warlock out. Yeah, let's do that. And we'll get Hugin and Munin out. And then we're just going to get rid of Falcon. He already only had one health left remaining. And then we'll use Hugan Immune's response. Search the top 10 cards, and then grab a minion. So that's one. Alright, so there's Whirlwind. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So get Ulick out. If we put the throw a lackey in, he's gonna attack me with a quick strike. And then that's gonna put a charm counter on. That's gonna speed up the process to my enchantment. So if anything, my best option would be to bring in Ulick and then thwart that Puppet Master down and then flip down. And then maybe get a recovery in. And then what happens here? Whirlwind has also, he does indirect damage for each side scheme in play. Yeah, let's do this. We'll grab Ulick. And then we gotta put everything back into our order. So there's gonna be an advance and assault coming up soon. So we bring him in, then we respond. It's ready up. Thor. And then we'll have Thor clear that off. So now that side scheme's gone. And then it's such a waste though to have a Nick Fury out and not, he could be a blocker for us, but I want to flip down and avoid a charm counter, so we're gonna flip down. And then we can actually have you can put 1 damage on him. Alright, so we're gonna ready up. And we're gonna drop to our hand size of 5. So we get a hammer throw, make the call, Maria Hill. Okay, villain's turn. This goes up by 1. Enchantress will scheme for 2. And a boost of 3. We'll put that up to 4. Ulick will scheme for 0. Then we'll be given our encounter card, Whirlwind. So Whirlwind has Quick Strike, but I'm in Alter Ego, so I don't get hit with that. So that worked out for us. And then it's his player turn. And Nick Fury goes away. So let's think this through. Let's play 2 of these. Get Marie Hill on the table. We get to draw a card to a Triskelion. That works. So now we'll use Mjolnir as a resource to put in the Triskelion, and then we can use our action to bring it back to our hand. Nice little build we just did, little combo we did there. And then we're gonna flip to hero. We'll use team building to put Mjolnir back onto the table. And this will increase, well, we now increase our attack by 1. What can we do here? So we have, actually this works out pretty nice. We'll use arrow to increase all flying types, well, all aerial traded characters by 1 damage. So Thor will actually go up to 4 now. He can actually just... So Thor will put 4 damage onto Whirlwind. And then we will have Maria Hill for 2 off here. We'll drop her down to 1 health remaining. And then we could have Hugin put 2 on him. So he'll be defeated by consequential damage. And then we're going to use Make the Call, Hammer Throw to play Air Supremacy. Choose up to X enemies where X is equal to the number of aerial characters you control. Thor has aerial because of Mjolnir. And then we have Arrow, so that's 2 targets. So we'll do 3 damage to Ulick, which will defeat him, and then 3 damage to Whirlwind, which will also defeat them. And that's why Air Supremacy is amazing. Alright, so when defeating Whirlwind, we get another little response here. When defeated, just like the other allies, we get to bring the ally side to our table. So now we'll get Whirlwind. He has 1 thwart, 0 attack. Interrupt. When Whirlwind attacks, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. For each threat removed this way, Whirlwind gets +1 attack. Alright, and then alright, so we're gonna use Absorbing Man to thwart. So he gets plus for the highest card the highest upgrade support we have. So that would be team building with the 2. And God of Thunder is also 2. So he'll get 3 thwarts, basically. So he'll be able to clear that. And then he takes 2 consequential damage. And we'll call that a turn. So Thor's attack goes back down to 3. We'll unexhaust everything. And then we'll drop to our hand size of 4. We still haven't... Oh, there's our helmet. And there's... Oh, there they are. That's what we needed. They're on the bottom of the deck. Go figure. Alright, so hopefully we can get Asgard out. And I like to get our helmet out, too. So then that way we can do some stuff. Alright. So Enchantress, 1 threat onto the main. She is going to attack us. So she's going to attack us for 1. I'm going to have Maria Hill take the hit. So she's going to attack for 1. with no boost. So just enough. So Maria Hill's been defeated. The force response kicks in, so now we put our charm counters up to 4. And alright. So that's at 4. Now we get our encounter card. Hopefully it's not that can't remember the order. Hopefully it's not the advance. It's not. Magical strengths. When revealed, your identity. If your identity has the defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the enthrall trait, do both in any order. So you're either stunned, place 1 charm counter on your enchantment card in the play area, or you're confused. Well, I'll take the confusion because I don't really plan on thwarting anymore. Well, unless I get Heroes of the Nine Realms. But we'll get to that when the time arises. So we have to put a charm counter on here. So that's going to go to 5. So now we'll see what our... So this gets removed. And then we will see what our Hypnotic Gaze will turn into. And it's going to turn into Trance of Envy. So your identity now gains the enthralled traits. When revealed, discard a card you control. Otherwise, discard the top 8 cards of your deck. Force action, exhaust this card to give Enchantress a face-down boost card, and then ready your identity. So now she's going to be getting some boosts. And I have to discard one of my cards. We'll get rid of the Quinn Carrier. Alright. Player turn switches over to me. Alright, so now what's going to happen, now that we have the Trance of Envy flipped over, and now we're enthralled. Which I think I had a... I think I have a token for that. Probably in my other bin, my other container. Yep, there it is. Alright, so we are enthralled. What we can do... So now anytime a counter would go on here, it's going to go on as threat. So this is where things are going to start picking up. So let's take a look here. So, decisions. The good news is, right now, we're still on the first part of the main scheme, but it's gonna start ramping up now. We need to start dropping some hurt bombs on her. So we're confused. We can't thwart. Still got space where we can put up more allies on the table. Let's use 2 resources off of our Gods of Thunder. Let's put our helmet on. The spot to put this is. So now we gain 5 hit points. So this will take us up to 12. So we don't have to worry about having to heal ourselves right now. this should be unexhausted. Fortunately, make the call is not going to happen. If I have one resource, I use it, but I don't. Alright, so let's do... So arrow is going to increase all aerials by 1. So now Thor has 2. We're going to hit her for 4. So I'm going to take her down to 2. We have to do the force action. So the force action is we have to exhaust it. Give the Enchantress a boost card. We can ready our identity. And then we will hit him again. So her first stage is defeated. Look at the damage here. So now she goes up to 16 health. She now has steady and toughness. In standard mode, put the set aside Future of Despair into play, and then place an additional 3 threat per player on it. Force response after Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment. So that still continues as usual. So we'll give her steady. We will give her a toughness, and then her health goes up to 16. And then we are going to reveal that side scheme. Alright. So, Enchantress gains Stalwart, cannot take damage, and then when revealed, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in play. So force response will put, so basically this will put threat on it. And this comes with 2 threat, and then it puts 3 threat per player on it. Now it's at 5 threat. Alright, so what we'll do then, so we can't do damage to her. We need to thwart down. We need to get rid of that. So she does have Stalwart. I had the Stalwart break for somewhere. Let's do this. We are going to we'll have Absorbing Man for this. So he's gonna get 2. So he's gonna remove 3 off of that. And then he is defeated due to consequential damage. And then we'll have Tatiana worth the remainder off that. So now this is gone. Now we don't even have to worry about the Stalwart. So take 1 consequential damage, so that puts her at 3 out of 5 health. And we will call that a turn. So hopefully we have an okay round. So we're going to drop to hand size of 4 still, so we're going to hold on to make I don't think that's going to matter because we're not going to have any allies, so I'm just going to throw that away. And I'm going to draw into Soaring Acrobatics, that helps. Then we get an encounter card. Shuffle up the deck. And we're going to draw card 3, card 4. Maybe get a lightning strike in there. Alright, so one threat goes on. Goes to 3. Enchantress is going to attack. We are going to... He has 2 attack now, so... And she has a boost already. Let's take the attack. So she's going to attack for 2. And then... Oh, there's the advance. And then reveal this card. So, Alluring Call. Attach your identity, force action, exhaust this card, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in play, and then play a card from your hand, reducing its cost by 1. Alter ego action, exhaust the card, discard this card. So now we got more problems to deal with. What's up here? Another forced action card. So she only hits me for 2. And then she would put a charm counter onto here, so that goes on as threats. And this doesn't reveal anything, so now we get an encounter card. And Shadows of the Past. Alright, well, this is going to get rough. Now Loki is going to join the fight. Alright, so Loki comes in, so we get to engage, get 2 cards because we got engaged with a minion. And then these will get shuffled into the encounter deck. And then we reveal the Family Feud. When revealed, place 1 additional threat here for each Asgard card in play. That's terrible. I really think it's an Asgard card. Let's get that shuffled up. So my strat here is now going to ignore Loki and try to get her killed immediately. Oh, and actually, you know what? I did that on a turn. I should have revealed this card first. Oh well. Sure it won't matter. Let's just finish this up. So this gets acceleration onto it. And then this gets 2 threat plus 1 additional threat for each Asgard card. So Thor's an Asgard, Helmet's Asgard. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 threat on this. And then we'll reveal this encounter card. Magical Restraints. If your identity has Defiant trait, choose 1. If your identity has Enthrall trait, do both. So we're gonna put 1 charm counter here, so that goes to 5. Wow, this is gonna be this no, this is bad. So now, because the 1 charm counter went here, so it goes on there. So now that's at 5, and then I'm stunned. And then the other one is I would be confused, so this goes to 6. So this is going to advance. So I'm now stunned and confused. So let's get this moved on to the next side of it. So we lose the first part of the scheme. And now we are on the Sovereign Sorceress. If the crown of the Enchantress attachment is in place, stun each identity. Otherwise, search the encounter deck and discard pile 4 Crown of the Enchantress and reveal it. And then our threshold now is 9. When a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in the play area, place it here, the one right here instead. This starts with 2 threat per player. And it has acceleration, thanks to Family Feud. And... oh. I guess I just reset the... well, I guess put 2 on there, because I think I just reset the counter deck. That's a fumble on my part. So I just made things 10 times more difficult. Oh well. I wasn't even paying attention when I did that, so there's never a clean game, ever. Alright, so then basically this gives her Stalwart now. Well, actually, if that's an expert, but it's not. So force response, after she schemes against you, place 1 charm counter on here. Alright. And that's where we're at. Okay, so, that's terrible. So I am stunned. We gotta go for the kill on this one. And I'm stunned, so it's definitely not gonna help. We need more cards, I think. So let's use a squared off. We'll discard. Let's go get a minion, put it into play. So Ulick comes into play. Luckily he doesn't have a card. So now I can reduce my next ally, which I don't have an ally. So I can't even play this. So I cheated. Alright, well. Can't do that. Yeah, I think everything just went to shit here. Let's do 2, 3, and we'll get a Quinn Carrier out. We're gonna exhaust ourselves to get rid of our stunned. We're gonna do our force response here to give Enchantress a boost card, and then ready our identity. And then we're going to use this to place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in play, and then pay a card from your hand, reducing its resource cost, but the force interrupt would be when a charm counter would be placed there. It'll go onto the main, so this will go up to 3, and then I'm going to play a lightning strike, and I'm going to exhaust God of Thunder. So God of Thunder for the 2 energy resources. I'm going to exhaust Quinn Carrier to generate another energy resource. So that's going to do 3 damage, and if I have the aerial trait, it's going to ignore tough. So this does 3 damage, 2 Enchantress. So that will take her down to 13. And then we are going to use arrow to increase our aerials by 1. And then we're going to have Tatiana attack Enchantress for 3. Her attacks do gain overkill and piercing. So we're just going to pierce right through this and hit her for 3, which will drop her down 10. She'll take 2 consequential damage, so that will defeat her. And then we're going to have Whirlwind attack. So when Whirlwind attacks, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. So 1 up here, 1 off here, and then they get +2 attack. So we hit her for 2, which will drop her down to 8. And he'll take 1 consequential damage. And then Thor is going to attack for 4. And that's all we got. All we got right now. I'm going to scrap these 2 cards. And I'm going to ready up. Drop down back to 3 attack. We could still possibly win this if we don't lose to scheme. So as long as we don't get an advance, we should be fine. We just got 4 damage, so it's gonna be 3 threat. That goes to 5. She'll attack. Probably just take the hit. Should be fine. Loki will attack. Drawing out to our hand size of 4. So we get Hugan, Immunin, Absorbing Man, and Power of Leadership. Probably, yeah, we should. Okay. So we're gonna put 1 threat. Well, 1 threat, and then 2 from the acceleration. So this is gonna go up to 5. And then Enchantress is going to attack. So she's getting 2 boost cards. We're going to go ahead and take the attack. So she's going to attack us for 2. And then there's an advance. And then, so she attacked us for 5. So we take 5 damage. Forced response. The counter would go on here, but it's going to go on to the main scheme. So the threat's at 6. Loki's going to hit us for 2. That drops us down to 3. And then we get an encounter card, which is going to be a gang up. So minions are going to attack alongside with the villain. So Enchantress is going to attack. We are going to defend that one with Whirlwind. So again, attacking for 2, 3, 4. So Whirlwind's been defeated. And force response, counter will go on to the main, because it can't go on the enchantment. Loki's going to hit me for 2, that leaves me with 1 health. And we are alive. And then we will begin player turn. So we will go ahead and, I think, play double resource and use Quinn Carrier to bring in Absorbing Man. Actually, no. We'll do 1, 2. Well, we'll do 2, and then we'll use a God of Thunder to put in Absorbing Man. And then we're going to attack Loki with Absorbing Man. And we'll exhaust the Quinn Carrier to give him +3, so that's a 4 attack he has. So we do 4 damage to Loki. And then we discard. So this wasn't a treachery. So we do defeat Loki. And then Thor, and then Arrow will go ahead and increase Thor's attack up by 1. He has a 4 attack. And then we will defeat Enchantress. There you go. Enchantress has been defeated. So, first impressions after playing 3 games against Enchantress. Even in standard, it's pretty. It can go either way. The thing to remember is that every time she like attacks or activates, she's adding charms to the enchantment. So as that happens, so it's basically it's like a ticking time bomb. So it's okay. It starts mellow a little bit unless you get like some unfortunate boost effects. That can increase it, or some of the minions increase it. But once the enchantment flips, then it goes sideways, because every time she attacks, or if there's any cards that would put charm counters onto that enchantment, once you're in that trance state, it's gonna put threat onto the main, which is gonna ramp that up. And 6 threat on the first and 9 on the on this next part. That's not really a lot, especially when you're playing solo. So. And I can only imagine when you're playing with multiplayer, that's going to amp up too. But I can't wait to give this a try on Expert. I'm sure it's going to be a lot more challenging, just for the fact of how it'll start off with our stage 2. But so far, so good. Next game I play, I'm going to go ahead and try out against Loki, God of Lies. And yeah, other than that, we call that a W. So. Other than that, if you enjoyed the gameplay, please feel free to drop me down a like. If you've already played this scenario, what are your thoughts on the scenario? What do you think of the mechanics for Enchantress? I think it's pretty cool. It's nice to have these different scenarios where we're able to, actually have to, do something instead of going with brute strength, and just burn the villain down. You have to follow that. And with this, it does slow it down, because once you flip her to stage 2, she's revealing the future of despair. So and that gives her more ways to stall things out a little bit. But other than that, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.